Good afternoon, and thank you everyone for joining College Confidential for our webinar today. We'll be hosting a moderated panel with experts, and we'll be answering your questions on community college and online learning. We invite you all to join us in our forums to share your thoughts and connect with your peers on how community college and online learning might be the right choice for your future. You can access the forums and a thread that we've put together to go along with this panel via the chat. You can see it there, and you can connect directly in the forums. And we'll be making a recording of this webinar available on our website as well over the weekend. So please feel free to come back and join us there. Before we get started, I want to introduce our moderator, Dr. Martha Parham, who's the Senior Vice President of Public Relations with the American Association of Community Colleges. Martha, thank you so much. Take it away.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Devin, and College Confidential for having us here today. We are excited about having a conversation about pathways to higher education that may be a little bit different than some of our attendees had planned on, but certainly we're excited about sharing our experience with the nation's 1,050 community colleges. So with that, I would really love to introduce our panelists for today. We have Melina Martinez, who is a current student at Miracosta College in California. Kevin Miller, who is a graduate of Rio Salado College in Arizona and is currently studying at ASU. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then Kate Smith is the president of Rio Salado College in Arizona. Welcome, Kate.
And I brought my background so you could all have a little of the sun and cactus.
In case there was any doubt about where she was from. And then Kai Dreckmeyer from Inside Track. Welcome, Kai.
Great, thank you very much.
So I want to thank everyone for joining us here today. I'm going to start with asking our community college students, Kevin and Melina, as a community college graduate and current student, what can you share your pathway to community college? Kevin, you want to start?
Sure. I graduated from high school in 2006, and community college was always my first option. I knew that I always wanted to go to Arizona State, but I knew that I wasn't fully prepared yet, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I didn't want to just jump into a university and not be 100% prepared. So I started with some in-person classes for a few years, and it just was not clicking for me. I was having a very hard time. I was working full-time and trying to make going in-person work for my schedule. So a lot of night classes, and I was just feeling burnt out and still not feeling really like I knew where I was gonna go or what I was doing. So I took a few years off from school and kind of figured things out. And then in about 2010, I started working for Rio Salado College as a temporary employee. And as I was there, I started talking to people a lot about online opportunities and how it was working for people, and did people feel successful? Did they feel like they could be disciplined? And so I just started taking one class at a time. I started with a sociology class, just something I was interested in. And, you know, as I became more comfortable with the format and how online worked, I just kind of decided that was the path that I was going to take, was continue online.
Sounds good. And working students are not strangers at community colleges. In fact, 62% of full-time students at community colleges work, and 72% of part-time students. So it's a great option for people that want to work and study at the same time. How about you, Melina? What was your pathway to the community college?
Yeah, for me, it's a little different just because I was I am an undocumented student. I did get DACA when I was 16. I was in high school. So I had a job all throughout high school. I was just kind of scared of what a four-year college would look like for me. And it was scary, and it seemed like it was going to be very expensive. Obviously, every DACA student wants to go to like a four-year university. But community college was a lot cheaper. And it was less intimidating to explore my interest in terms of I could take a lot of classes without it being super expensive. And I was also a working student, like you said, so it provided a really flexible schedule to be able to work with. And once I got there, I found that the class sizes were smaller, the professors were more able to work with you one-on-one.
All great points. So for other panelists, I think Kate and Kai in particular, what is the feeling on community college enrollments or college enrollments in this time of the coronavirus? What are you anticipating in terms of college enrollments coming up for the summer and fall? Kate, do you want to start?
Sure thing. Thank you so much, Martha. It's been interesting watching our data around our enrollments, and what we're noticing is a trend we just haven't seen before in the data. And so what we think is potentially happening right now, which would make sense, is a lot of students are in a holding pattern is what it appears to be. They're not ready to enroll. They're not quite sure of what's going to happen around the coronavirus, what's going to be opening up, what's not opening up, when, what does life look like post-COVID-19. And so we're in a new place in every way, right? Given what's going on in the world, but we are in a new place around our enrollments. So there's the potential that they will take, that they're going to decrease in the short term while people wait to see kind of how does life unfold. There's also the possibility, though, that we're gearing up for that as the economy begins to open back up and people are back working again, that those enrollments might begin to spike. There's also the possibility that a lot of students who were looking to a residential experience at a college that might not have that residential experience open in the fall, that those students may opt to come to community college for a semester. And we certainly would welcome that and support them with all of their transfer credits, et cetera. So we see both the potential for decreases, but lots of opportunity as well for student enrollment to increase as well.
I generally agree with that. I think we're hearing about and seeing a lot of students in a holding pattern and uncertain. And frankly, colleges are uncertain. For traditional four-year colleges and universities, there kind of are three options: to delay the fall semester, that's just on the table for some. I know of only one who has announced that. Another would be to open back up fully, and another would be to just offer distance learning and online courses. So my answer is, I don't know, but I will make this bold prediction, and we'll see in 5 months or 4 months if I was right. I think we are going to see more students at community colleges in the fall, and it's really three groups. Number one, traditional age students pursuing an associate's degree who would normally do that. This group may be up slightly due to lower availability of part and full-time work options for recent high school graduates. My gut is that the economy probably will not recover as quickly as we're hoping, given that unemployment today is higher than it's been since the Great Depression. So I don't know how we come out of that quickly. The second group would be adult learners going back to pursue or complete an associate's degree after being laid off or having their work hours reduced. In a bad economy or higher unemployment, we do see increased enrollments from that group. And then I think we will also see a lot more traditional age students who might normally start off in a four-year college or university. The fact that the traditional residential experience is in question might make some of our viewers today wonder, should I go? And I think there's a lot of economic uncertainty. And there are folks possibly on this webinar whose parents are wondering if they're going to lose their jobs. So I think a lot of factors, and I think that would, if I were in those shoes, I would be more likely to attend a community college nearby and continue to stay with my parents.
All right. Our data at AACC that we do every year, we do a thing called Fast Facts, and it's Fast Facts about the nation's community colleges. And this year's Fast Facts indicates that tuition at community college costs are about a third. They're about 65% less than an in-state four-year state-supported university. So we're not talking about private colleges. We're talking about your local state universities. So at 65% less than the cost, do you find that that is typically the main driver? So Kevin and Melina, as students, is cost a main driver for you in terms of deciding what your educational pathway was going to be?
Yeah, definitely for me it was, especially because I didn't really understand financial aid that much. So community college was definitely a go-to for me. And then once I got there, I got support with financial aid as well.
Yeah, for me as well. I always paid for my own school from the beginning. I come from a large family, so there wasn't a lot of money, and I started college right in the recession. So I definitely felt like the cost was what drove me to continue with community college.
Yeah, and just for the record, the cost of to attend your local community college is average in the United States is $3,730 a year. At a 4-year college, public in-state, the average cost in the United States is $10,440 a year. So just so everyone can know that there's a significant cost implication or decision there that you have to make it in these uncertain times. Hopefully that data will help you make the decision that's right for you. So again, for Melina and Kevin, can you share with us what you felt the pros and cons were when you decided to attend a community college instead of a 4-year college? Melina, you want to go first?
Sorry, forgot to unmute myself. Yeah, when I got to my college, Maricosta, a lot of the pros were based on the support system and the community that I built there. As an undocumented student, I found that I found a really good support system and the resources that applied to me specifically. And then I also realized that like a lot of my friends who were in different parts of communities, they also found their own support system. So I was able to find, I guess, like there was resources for everyone there basically, and a lot of different types of support systems, not just for undocumented students. So that was a big pro for me. The financial aspect as well. I was able to get the DREAM Act and the BOG waiver and everything like that. So school was super financially, I didn't have any, I wasn't super stressed out all the time, and I could just focus on my studies.
And for those of you listening and watching, the BOG waiver is a California, it's called a Board of Governors fee waiver that allows students that don't have a lot of money to apply for, and they get their fees waived for community college. So that's what a BOG waiver is. How about you, Kevin? What were the pros and cons for you as you made your choice?
The pros for me, like I said, I knew I wasn't ready for the university. I just didn't feel like I would be as devoted as I needed to be to it. And the community college allowed me to kind of test the waters. The classes were smaller. The meeting with the instructors was a little bit easier. I ended up, knowing a lot of people in my classes, things like that. That really helped me to kind of test the waters and feel comfortable. So that was a major pro for me. And of course, the cost was a big deal, because like right now it's costing me $1,600 for one class at ASU. So that was a huge factor and a pro. I think a con was, it was really hard to watch a lot of my friends go off to a university and be done in 4 years. And it took me 10 years to get an associate's degree. So that was a con for me. But now as an adult, I see that it was better for me. I took the path that worked for me. It doesn't depend on everybody around you. It's what works best for you.
How about you, Melina? Any cons as you contemplated your journey?
Yeah, definitely the same. Seeing some of my friends go off to 4-year universities. I think it was more like it was right out of high school, seeing my friends go to universities and me staying behind or leaving the city and stuff. So I felt kind of, there's always this stigma around community colleges. So I felt like I didn't meet my expectations, and I was just going to community college, and it wasn't as good compared to my other friends. And then while I was in community college, I saw a lot of my friends transfer to really good universities, so that also made me really upset. But later I found out that everyone's pathway is different, and it takes a little longer for some people. It doesn't take that long for others. So that really changed my mind. Let's see, just, I guess that would be the only con that I can think of right now. Yeah, just seeing your friends go somewhere else.
Well, I think this is actually one of my favorite stories to share. Is that back when I was working in a community college and not for the American Association of Community Colleges, we had a student that came out of the military, and he took classes and transferred to Stanford University in California. And from Stanford, transferred to Harvard, or was accepted to Harvard Law School. And lucky for me, he is now a practicing attorney in Washington, D.C., so I still get to see him. But talk about a journey. He had no idea where to start or what to do. Coming out of the military was a big transition for him. And to be able to see him now with his Harvard Law degree and just doing great things is really wonderful. So there are definite pathways to wherever you want to go when you start at a community college. So Minnie, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Martha, I'm sorry. This is Kate. I
Yep.
just was wondering if it's okay if I make a comment on this topic that ties in a little bit with what Melina and Kevin shared. Plus, I'd be interested, Melina and Kevin, if you found this to be true or not. In several, I taught for several years at community college prior to administration work, and in focus groups with students and others. I often heard from students, and then we had externals do some of these focus groups too. And they found that a lot of students said the same thing as you two did, that cost was a major factor for why they chose the community college. But once they got to the community college, they said it would always be their first choice going forward because of all of the supports that they found, the engagement that they found, the small class size that was mentioned, that you referenced earlier, Kevin. The opportunity, and I hear this from a lot of students still, the opportunity to connect much closer with their professors who are often professionals in their discipline, experts in their fields, the opportunities for research they get at community colleges, the opportunities for apprenticeships that can lead right into job placement. And I don't think you can underestimate what I've heard from students, the diversity that you'll often find within a community college, and just how incredible it is to meet people and spend time and learn from people with such varied age and economic backgrounds and life experiences, and rural versus urban their entire lives, and religion, and you name it. It's so diverse and so wonderful. So I think those are some of the other, it's interesting that I've always heard the cost was often the first decision, but then students have said that they would stay there. They would now make it their first choice. So I don't know if either of you, if any of that resonates with either of you.
Yeah, definitely.
Go ahead.
Kevin, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I do agree. The diversity was a big pull for me. I am half Filipino, and I grew up in a pretty predominant white area in Gilbert, Arizona. So to meet other people who shared a lot of the same cultural views as I did was really interesting once I got to the community college. But also, I have an older sister who's 5 years older than me, and we were able to take some classes together at the community college, which was encouraging to both of us because, she was behind as well, and we both were able to take some of those classes together and really encourage each other through those. So I think I agree a lot with that, Kate.
That's awesome.
For me, I found that the services that community colleges offer is super amazing. And it's kind of crazy because some community college students don't even know this themselves. They don't try to explore these services that are provided, like health services. They have regular checkups in there. They have therapists that give you sessions for free because you pay your health fee every semester. There's so many different services like writing, tutoring for free that are, I think you have to pay for them at four-year universities. And they have a great research station at our library where we can have like access to these crazy research things that we can use for our papers. And I didn't know that you had to pay for them at four-year universities.
Yeah, I think it's great to showcase. I know when I started in community colleges about 105 years ago, I honestly didn't know that community colleges have sports teams and amazing sports teams at that. There was a really great robotics program that students competed in these robotics competitions, and so all of those things are available in addition to those services, Melina, that you outlined at community colleges: healthcare, counseling, career counseling and coaching and things like that. So all great points. And Kevin, you brought up something that I just wanted to, back to my fast facts, just wanted to mention that community colleges, you mentioned diversity, and I will say community colleges are probably the most diverse colleges in the country. In fact, they do represent the majority of diverse students in the United States. And they also serve, I think it's 11.8 million students each year. Which is about 41% of all of the nation's undergraduates. So there are a lot of people that are making the choice to go to community college. So moving on, we kind of touched on this a little bit, but I think it's really important to expand upon, especially for our audience who are probably wondering if they should attend community college as a plan to transfer to the four-year university of their choice. A lot of people want to go to big name universities and don't understand or don't have the knowledge of how community colleges can help them get there. So for any panelist that wants to respond, what can high school seniors do when enrolling in community colleges to ensure that their credits transfer and that their pathway is correct to get them to their goal of transferring to a university?
Well, why don't I jump in and Kate can then correct anything. She's more of an expert, but just simply, I'll say I think this is an emerging pathway that's a really smart one of doing 2 or 3, if it takes it, years at a community college and then transferring. And I think the key things are really to know the general education requirements of your eventual target for your institution, ensure all the credits you're taking are transferable, and to do your very best work. And I think if there's one challenge with community colleges that is not their fault at all, it is that many students attending, and I think we heard this from Melina and Kevin, they're just in a situation where they need to work, often full-time or part-time. And there's an emerging pattern in America where many people are working more than full-time. They've got a job and they're driving for Uber or doing delivery or something. So it's hard to pass a full load of classes when you're doing that. So I would say to anyone, if you can, find ways to get coverage through loans or grants so that you can attend full-time and really put your heart and mind into it. That's what I would say. And so if you can avoid the path of overworking and not having enough time to focus on your studies, do that. So know the general ed requirements for the target institution you want to transfer to. Make sure the credits you're earning are the right ones and transferable. Nearly all of them are usually, but you want to confirm that and then do your very best work. And I will tell you, in the Cal State system in California, transfer students, they're doing just as well or better in many cases as students have come up through that system. So I'll stop going on, but no question in my mind that the huge majority of our community colleges are preparing students really well to succeed in their last couple of years at a four-year.
Absolutely, Kai, and I completely echo everything you just said. Thank you so much. And I think to break it down a little further, if you're wondering what you should do to ensure your transfer is successful, most community colleges now have really worked those pathways out, and they're very clear. They're laid out for students depending on your area of study, your area of interest. Community colleges, if you work with an advisor, so just connect with an admissions advisor and then an academic advisor, and then map that, work with those four-year schools so they know what those transfer requirements are, and they can help you pick your courses to ensure maximum transfer, and you won't have a problem. The credits are fully transferable and respected at the four-year institution.
So I think in higher education, we have what we call articulation agreements, which are basically guaranteed admissions programs that students can, again, echoing what Kate said, work with their advisor or their counselor and make sure they are taking the courses that articulate to the university that they're trying to transfer to. So it's really important to understand that that's a big piece of it. That's absolutely doable. It's absolutely possible. Most all colleges have agreements with their state universities, and some have them. California has a blanket agreement with the historically Black colleges and universities for transfer programs. I think the colleges, Kevin, I'd love to hear from you as you transferred to Arizona State. Did you find that pathway was easy to navigate and easy to understand, or as if you were a high school senior, what would you want to know from your adult self about how that worked?
What I found really useful, and I don't know that every community college in the country does this, but I do know that in Maricopa we do this across the board, is we have advisors from the universities that come to the campus at least 1 or 2 days a week. And even if they can't meet with you in person, they typically will set up a phone call and things like that. So I pretty much met with my advisor after every semester to make sure I was on track. But then I would also talk to an advisor at the university. And when I had started with ASU, we had what we call the MAPS program. So you're guaranteed admittance as long as you get your certain amount of credits done and you pick a degree program. So that really helped me too to stay on track, because I could check with that ASU advisor to say, okay, I took these classes, are they all going to transfer? So to me, I mean, as a new student going into a community college, I would definitely say if you're looking to go to a university, find out if the campus has an agreement with advisors from the other colleges and if they're going to be on campus and if you can meet with them, because it really helped me to have it mapped out in front of me, because I'm very much like that. I have to have it organized. So I needed to know from start to finish what I would be taking. I didn't want to be guessing every semester. I wanted to know this is exactly what I need to do to get to ASU, and I'm going to do it.
And Melina, how about you as you navigate your own community college journey and potential for what's next? So
talking to advisors, counselors is really important, I would say. At my college, I started to explore everything that it offers. So at the moment, I'm finishing a certificate of achievement in graphic design. I didn't know that you could get certificates while you graduate, and you can get one for transfer as well. So I'm doing that, and I'm also looking at other certificates that I could possibly get at the same time as well. Being able to talk to your counselors and figuring out what your school offers as well is super important, and what you can do with those certificates while you're still going for that degree at the same time.
that's a great point. And I think for both of you, I think it's really important, and you're both talking about taking the initiative to go talk to your academic advisor, your counselor, and really taking ownership of your pathway to make sure that you stay on track with your own goals. And I think that's really key, no matter where you go to college. That's something that you need to take ownership of how you navigate that. And so I think those are great traits to have. So the next question is, there appears to be a misconception that community colleges don't offer financial aid. Our data from AACC shows that almost 60% of community college students do get some type of aid. What should aspiring community college applicants know about getting financial aid at the community college level?
So, oh, Kai, you want to go ahead?
No, you go first, Kate. Go
Well,
ahead.
no, actually what I was going to say is I would love to hear from Melina. You were talking about the financial aid, so I would love to hear your perspective on it. But clearly apply, use the free application for federal student aid. That's the FAFSA application. So you can just Google FAFSA, FAFSA, and apply. So that's the baseline to get for getting your financial aid. But I'd love to hear from you two and your perspective.
So for me, I thought I had to apply for the FAFSA, but I don't qualify for that as an undocumented student. So I applied for the DREAM Act, which is kind of like the same process as the FAFSA, just filling things out, tax information and stuff. And then from that information, you would also file for the BOG waiver as well. So that was a little bit complicated my first time doing it. So I did have to have a lot of help from my counselors in high school and counselors at community college. But once you do get that help, obviously you could do it by yourself, but I really suggest you get help from the community college counselors because it makes it so much easier. And it's not as complicated as it seems. And they really do help you. And sometimes you can miss out on money that you didn't know you could get. So you should really, really get some help with that.
Agree, Melina.
Good. Kai, did you have a comment on this?
I do. I want to see, Kevin, anything else to add on your experience with financial aid?
Sure. I can definitely say the application process has gotten easier. It's less tedious as time goes on. And like Melina said, reaching out to people and asking for help was a big factor for me. But I can say that like now I applied for financial aid with ASU, and then within 2 weeks I had my award letter. And because the system is just processing things at a better rate, technology is better, uploading your information is better than in 2010 when I went back to school. It took a long time to get a hold of people and get information, but now I would say, I mean, it was so seamless. I wasn't even stressed throughout the process at all. Like I had all of my answers, I had people to reach out to. I mean, this time around, it made so much more sense and was so much easier today than 10 years ago, but it's definitely worth it, and it's free, to fill out the application. So you should definitely do it and see what your options are always.
Yeah, good advice. Yeah, I would just add that absolutely, yes, financial aid is available, and it is worth for sure filling out the FAFSA and seeing, and there's been confusion in the past around financial aid. I think we're doing a better job as a country in clarifying the difference between a grant or a scholarship that is free money you don't pay back and what is a loan. And so my advice is for anyone to see if you can secure or qualify for grants or any scholarships first. And then as you borrow, do so thoughtfully, meaning you don't want to overborrow, but I would advise my own kids to borrow more so they can work less, because if you are having to work too much, it can interfere with your ability to focus, and you just can't take a full-time load and it takes longer. But do it judiciously. And so keep that money should be for tuition, housing, room and board, and food, not for car payments and that kind of thing. And often folks get in a cycle where their job requires a commute, they decide to get a car, and it turns out the math just doesn't work. And they're trying to rely on financial aid at a rate that is really not sustainable, and they're overborrowing. So I would just be cautious and thoughtful about that.
And if I can add on to that, Kai, that was excellent. You can also go to the college that you're been accepted to, and most colleges, you reach out to the college because they'll have a site where they list all types of grants and scholarship dollars in addition to federal financial aid, state financial aid. outside of loans, there are these grants and scholarships, and there will be a place you can apply for them. They're usually generally centralized at the college, and there'll be somebody who can help guide you to that, and those are worth applying to as well for exactly what Kai described. Thanks.
And I think I know from my experience, you had 3 colleges in my district where I worked, and we had scholarships that just went, nobody applied for them. There is money, and there is there are resources available at community colleges as well. So look for them. Kate, that's actually a really great point. So let's talk a little bit about the coronavirus that we're all living with, and how that is impacting our campuses. So Kate, this is probably, well, for the students as well. Some students are looking at online programs instead of committing rather to 4-year universities, which makes sense in light of what's happening and not happening in the world right now. I think, Kai, you said earlier, we just don't know yet what's going to happen for the summer and the fall terms, and what does that mean in terms of campuses and food services and classroom sanitation and all of these things that are now going to impact all of our worlds, whether we go to community college or a 4-year university. But if you as a student in high school, you don't want to commit to a 4-year university because of not knowing what's going to happen, how can we talk a little bit about community colleges versus online, traditional online colleges, I guess? Kai, do you want to clarify the difference between those?
Yeah, well, one thing I'll note is that generally for community colleges, whether it's face-to-face instruction or online, you're going to have really pretty good class sizes. They're not going to be huge. There are exceptions for sure, but that is a positive. The other piece, I really think all students, whether they like it or not, should be prepared to do some online learning this fall. And even if you are going to go to a community college 5 miles from where you grew up, you may be doing some of your instruction at a distance. As if some of our viewers may be current high school students, they're probably taking online courses right now. I know my daughters, their education has moved online. And we'll just say that the quality of the readiness of faculty and teachers to do that well is still emerging, right? It varies a lot at the high school and college level, I think. So expect that. But I know every college, university, community college I've spoken with, this is where all of their effort is going, is getting better at distance education right now. In case they'll have to be doing fully online instruction this fall. So I would just note, anywhere there will be bumps, but everywhere it is improving. And that I think that kind of the benefits of community college with the smaller class sizes are probably, it's going to skew that way still for community colleges as a positive.
Anyone else? Kate, do you want to comment?
I would love to comment on this because Rio Salado College is a community college that serves about 27,000 students online every year. And so we are that blend of an online program, an online college with a community college. So I do want to echo what Kai said again. I'm just going to be shameless about this. Everyone, community college is a great choice for every person out there. And there are so many reasons why, and there is a place for everybody that is a great place and a great pathway for them. I agree with Kai about the online, and so I want to say we welcome students. We're an institution. We were one of the very first colleges in the country to go online back in the 90s. And so we have 30 plus years of experience in online education. And I think that's really helpful during this time. You know, even if it's, you just want to try online, going somewhere where you can know that your faculty are experienced and can support you, I think is fantastic. if you want to go for a semester, if you want to end up finding you love it and you like the online, provides that flexibility. At Rio, we have 48 start dates, so every Monday you can start. We never cancel a class, so there's so many built-in pieces around the flexibility that's offered in online. You can have your class time around your work schedule, your family schedule, whatever your situation might be. You can study kind of what in your time frames that work best for you. There's all the supports of a traditional face-to-face that you can take advantage of. And so with tutoring, counseling, and all of those services, honors programs, et cetera, that are offered. So I would just say you are welcome. Come, come check it out. It's a great experience. I'm a huge advocate of community college and of online. So,
and if you're going to be online, say if you're going to be online anyway, you might as well start at a community college and pay a lot less, right?
Absolutely.
And I will say, Kate, hopefully you can back me up on this one. That a lot of the instructors at community colleges are also teaching at the four-year universities. A lot of them teach in more than one location, and I know in my experience that a lot of our faculty members are teaching at universities as well as at their local community college. So
that is, we're just having a moment because that's exactly where I was going to go, Martha.
Oh.
So I love that you brought that up, and I want all of the viewers to know, listeners to know that another benefit of community college is that the faculty who choose to teach at community colleges come there because they want their primary focus to be the student learning, student success, connecting students to their careers, making connections for students within their discipline. So for example, we have accomplished lawyers teaching our paralegal courses. We have just accomplished business CFOs, CEOs teaching our business classes. So there's lots of opportunity for students to connect within their field through their faculty. But the reason that they often choose to work at a community college is because they want their focus to be the student over research. And that's not to take away from a four-year research focus, because we need that. And we all know that we want that in our education system as well. But if you're looking for that closer aspect and your teachers are really focused on their teaching and your learning, you have very accomplished faculty that do that. And they do cross over between four-year universities and the community colleges, as you said, Martha. I just took it one step further, but I do back you up 100%.
No, it's all good. I'm gonna roll on to the next topic just because I don't want to run out of time. As you can probably tell, we can all talk about community colleges forever and ever. But I'd like to talk a little bit about employment and go back to my fast facts. Our data shows that those that earn an associate's degree earn about $10,000 on average. I'm sorry, $10,000 more per year on average than those with high school diplomas alone. Students that go on to earn a bachelor's degree earn another $15,000 annually on top of that. So there's proof, the proof is in the pudding, right? That community college and certainly associate degree programs are valuable in terms of lifetime earnings. Can we talk a little bit about the career opportunities available to students that earn an associate degree? Kai, do you want to jump in there?
I'll start and others can jump in. I'll just mention that for folks in higher ed that I work with who have an associate's, they also have a bachelor's for the most part and a master's. And it's a point of pride. There's something about having an associate's degree that suggests sort of a rejection of privilege in a way, and that you've done the path as the path that's open to everyone. And I think that's really cool and something I don't know anybody who regrets it. And there's just so many paths. I think one thing that came up through this discussion is that there's not one right way to do it, to do college and your career. And I think we're seeing an emergence of folks doing some of their education, maybe getting an associate's, getting into the workplace, going to a degree completion program to get a bachelor's degree, working again, and then pursuing a master's. And there's something to be said for that sort of lifelong learning path. That's what everyone is talking about in higher education. With an associate's degree, though, there are a ton of jobs that are in high demand, even in a bad economy, particularly in healthcare, and more what's referred to as kind of career and technical education, where sometimes you're getting a certificate. You should get an associate's too, but you don't always have to. These are mid and high skill level jobs that pay extremely well, but you need certifications and training, and those are offered almost entirely by or mostly by our community colleges. So these are things in light manufacturing, complex assembly and maintenance of pretty serious complex equipment, and a ton of other things, particularly in healthcare also. But I would say lots of options. And so it shouldn't scare someone, well, if I get an associate's, what do I do with it? You can do a lot, and you can be paid very well.
In fact, I have to jump in here that community colleges, of the almost nearly 12 million students, about 5 million of them are in those career and technical education programs. And fun fact, community colleges train about 80% of the nation's first responders, and that includes police, firefighters, EMTs, nurses, and a host of other health professions that don't require, in some cases, they don't even require a 2-year commitment. So there are options, again, at the community college that as a high school senior looking to determine what your pathway is, you have so many more options at the community college. But I definitely wanted to talk maybe to Kevin about how about you? What did you find after you graduated in terms of job market options for you with an associate degree?
It opened a lot more doors for me, honestly. I've been with Rio for 10 years, and I really did work my way up, and I worked very hard to get to where I am, and I'm so grateful for my job and my career. But it was getting to a point where if I did not finish this associate's, I was not going to have any other opportunities. This would be where I would be staying. I wouldn't be able to move up. I wouldn't be eligible to apply for other jobs. I wouldn't be eligible for a raise, things like that. And when you get into your 30s as well, that really hits you. Like, I really got to make a decision. What am I going to do? And so, thankfully, I have a very encouraging team at work, including Kate, that really pushed me to finish and show me the value of there's so much more that's going to happen for you after you get this degree. You just have to believe that there's something else other than this. And I it took a lot for me to say, okay, I can do this. I can finish this degree. And I mean, even with just in the last year, so many other opportunities have opened up for me, or things that I didn't even know I was eligible to apply for or do have opened up for me just because of having the associate's degree. And that's not even just within higher education or just within Rio. I mean, that's everywhere. I've had so many people say, you're eligible to apply for this. And I would have never known that the associate's was one of those deciding factors in helping me get there.
That's awesome. So, Melina, let's talk about something that for students, especially young students, is really important, and that's the social aspect of college. So, going to community college, how do you respond to people that say, though you don't have a social life at community college? How do you find your college's social interactions? How do you meet people on campus? What's been your experience with the social life aspect?
With socializing on campus, I think the experience is what you make of it. If you want to be involved in your school and you want to meet people and you want to have all these cool experiences, then it's up to you to be there and get involved and show up to these things. I know my school makes an effort to create all these networking events where you not only meet new people, but you get to network with them. You get to go to all these panels, events. We have like a social gathering I think every other Thursday, if not every Thursday. So it's really easy to you don't even really have to get too involved. You can just walk around on those Thursdays and get some free food. But there's a lot of socializing on my campus, at least, where you get the chance to just hang out or network. For me, all of my close friends are people I met in college and clubs and meetings and all these cool things. So I think it really is what you make of it. It's really there for you. So you just have to go and find your way there. And now that we're moving to like an online kind of thing, my school has been pushing a lot of these like Zoom meetings. Like a lot of the clubs have been doing Zoom. And I know their Instagrams have been blowing up with like events and resources and stuff where you can still meet people and you can still go to these club events.
That's great. How about you, Kevin? What was your experience you were a part-time student, yes? So what was
Yes.
your experience socially at community college?
I definitely think when I went in person, I was probably a lot more social because I was seeing people every day in my classes and getting to know people because they were they were also working, and we were just getting to know each other and talk. And some of them I do still talk to from my freshman year of college. But with the online system, the thing that's kind of nice with Rio, we have a student life department. And so they do kind of reach out to people. They advertise, social media blast, come be a part of Phi Theta Kappa, National Honor Society, things like that is really how I see for the online system getting people involved, because they do meet in person and they do see each other and they go to events together and things like that. So I think that kind of student life touch, having someone say, look, we know we're online, but we still want to see you. We still want to see you face to face and do things. I think was always really neat to me that we devoted an area to that so that people would feel engaged. And I do know that like our Phi Theta Kappa group is very close and they do spend a lot of time together and they're very involved in student life and going out and fundraising and doing things like that. So I think, I've had a little bit of both worlds.
That's awesome. Phi Theta Kappa, just for the record, is the community college honor society in the country, and they do amazing things. And for those of you that didn't know, we do have an honor society, and they do great work, both, well, probably more than both, but academically, socially, and then philanthropically as well. They do a lot of work. So I'm just going to keep us rolling because I don't want to run out of time. There is a lot of confusion out there about whether or not students can enroll in both a university and a community college at the same time. And, a lot of students take extra time to graduate, and some want to graduate sooner. So, Kai, do you want to talk a little bit about, is it true that you can co-enroll, as it were, in both and try to finish faster and do so less expensively? And do you expect students to do one school at a time?
It depends. So to answer the first question, though, I am almost certain that there are students at ASU in traditional undergraduate programs who also take courses at Rio Salado. And they do it for a couple of reasons. One, it ends up being a little cheaper, so they are saving money. But two, sometimes, and this is a challenge, I will share with our viewers two challenges about traditional four-year colleges. Especially at publics, the courses you need sometimes are not available. And so you need to take it at a community college, or if you want to kind of get caught up in time to get back on track, say that you took a course and took a W or want to replace your grade. So I think that is a factor. I would also note that many students are taking more than 4 years at a four-year college. The difference in the graduation rate at the 4-year point, 5-year point, and 6-year point for most of our colleges and universities, there's a big jump as you go. So anything, my main advice to any students coming in, do your very best work. Try to complete as many courses as you can each year, make as much academic progress as you can. And that may mean mixing in some summer courses at a community college or being kind of enrolled in both at the same time at some moments. And Kate, can you verify if I got this right? Or
Yeah, I was trying to motion that you got it right. Yeah, absolutely. We actually have a large population of students that are at four-year universities. And in addition to what Kai said, some who they get dropped from a class early in the semester for whatever reason. Again, because we have the 48 start dates, they can just pick it up, and we have flexible, you can take it in an 8-week section, a 12-week, or 14-week. So we have a lot of students who take it just because they want to for the cost savings, as Kai said, but it also can help in a time of you're in a pinch and you need to finish that German course. You're not going to graduate. You just found out you need it. So students will take it for that reason as well.
Yeah, and I know my niece attends a 4-year private university, and she takes a full semester during the summer. And she's on track to graduate in 3 years because she has been very consistently doing that. But a main reason is the cost. Her private 4-year university is very, very expensive. So, but it's really been motivating to her. So I can say, I know there's at least one person in my family that is absolutely going to both a community college and a 4-year university at the same time. Okay, so what do you think, Kevin and Melina, is the biggest advantage for you regarding your community college attendance? Melina, you want to go first?
For me, like I said before, it's definitely the support. I was kind of a quiet student when I started community college, and I feel like the professors and like the counselors really care. So I feel like they went and found me and forced me to be more involved. So that made me feel like they really cared. So it made me really want to go and be present. And then just to see like all the good that they do for students, and to see all the resources that are given, and they're mostly like very what's it called, they're very easily accessible for students at a community college. So I really, really like that. So I really like my community college. I sometimes I get sad thinking that I'm going to transfer out because I've already made such a good support system there. I don't know if maybe Kevin felt that way when you transferred out. But yeah, that's the reason why I'm so proud to go to MiraCosta with all the resources that they provide. Yeah, I'm not really, there's so much more. I just can't talk about it all.
That's great. How about you, Kevin? The last word.
I would say the biggest advantage was flexibility and being able to do things on my own time and not having to worry about getting to a classroom on time or things like that. That was really important to me. But like she also said, there's so many resources on campus and so many people that you can reach out to. That was huge for me because I made so many connections. Even though I worked at Rio, still every year I would find out something that I didn't realize was available to me as a student. So I think things like that are really a big part of what make it such an advantage to students is you are going to get more hands-on. Not to say that the universities don't do it. I think ASU does a great job of hands-on, but I do think that at the community college level, it's just a little bit easier to manage that hands-on back and forth with students.
That is amazing. I know I can talk for another, at least 2 days about all the wonderful things about community college, but we are very unfortunately out of time. So I want to say thank you to all of you. It's been so great spending this Friday afternoon with you, and I will throw it back to our host, Devin.
Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Parham, for moderating our panel, and for all of our panelists for sharing their expertise and experience. We truly appreciate it. We welcome all of you to continue to join us in the forums where we can continue the discussion on community college and options that students can consider for fall of 2020 and beyond. Thank you very much.